The dusty road stretched for miles beneath the blazing Texas sun. Heat waves danced across the empty highway. A battered pickup truck rattled along the gravel shoulder before finally coughing, sputtering, and dying. The driver gripped the steering wheel and closed his eyes. Not again. 38-year-old Ethan Walker rested his forehead against the wheel. For the third time in 6 months, life had knocked him flat. First, he had lost his construction job when the company went bankrupt. Then his savings disappeared paying medical bills for his late father. And now, his truck was dead. The only thing he still possessed was a worn duffel bag in the passenger seat and a stubborn determination to keep moving. Ethan stepped out into the scorching heat. The truck wasn't going anywhere, neither was he, at least not without help. He looked around, nothing but endless fields, rolling hills, and open sky. Then he noticed something in the distance. A weathered wooden sign, Willow Creek Miles. Ethan sighed. 5 miles felt like 50, but it was his only option. He grabbed his duffel bag and started walking. Every step kicked dust into the air, sweat soaked through his shirt. The Texas sun felt determined to melt him into the road. Still, he kept going, because quitting wasn't an option anymore. Not after everything he'd already survived. Nearly 2 hours later, Ethan finally reached the ranch. His boots were covered in dust. His throat felt like sandpaper. His legs burned. But the sight before him made him stop. The ranch was enormous. Thousands of acres stretched across the countryside. Large red barns stood proudly near white fences. Horses grazed peacefully in distant fields. Workers moved equipment around massive grain silos. It looked like something from a movie. A place built by generations of hard work. A place that actually meant something. For the first time in months, Ethan felt hope. Maybe they needed help. Maybe they had work. Maybe this could be a fresh start. He walked toward the main house. The farmhouse sat on a hill overlooking the property. It was beautiful, large wraparound porch, white columns, flower gardens blooming around the entrance. Everything looked carefully maintained. As Ethan approached, he noticed several expensive trucks parked nearby. A few ranch hands were loading supplies into trailers. One of them spotted Ethan. The older man frowned. "You lost, friend." Ethan forced a smile. "Actually, I was hopping to find whoever owns this place." Ranch hand crossed his arms. "What for?" "I'm looking for work." Man chuckled. "The club." Ethan wasn't discouraged. "Can I speak with the owner anyway?" The ranch hand studied him for a moment, then he nodded toward the house. "Good luck." Ethan thanked him and walked up the porch steps. Before he could knock, the front door opened, and suddenly, everything changed. A woman stepped outside. She looked to be around 35, tall, confident, beautiful, but not in the delicate way Ethan expected. There was strength in her posture, determination in her eyes. The kind of woman who had spent years carrying responsibilities most people couldn't handle. She wore jeans, work boots, and a denim shirt with rolled-up sleeves. No expensive jewelry, no designer clothes. Yet somehow she commanded attention. The moment she appeared, every worker nearby seemed to straighten up. That told Ethan everything. She was the boss. The woman noticed him immediately. "Can I help you?" Her voice was calm but firm. Ethan cleared his throat. "Ma'am, my truck broke down a few miles back." She nodded. "And I'm looking for work." Woman studied him carefully, not rudely, not suspiciously, just carefully, like she was evaluating every detail. "What kind of work?" "Whatever needs doing." One eyebrow lifted. "That's a broad answer. I can handle construction, repairs, equipment maintenance, fencing, livestock." Woman remained silent. Ethan continued. "Learn fast." Still silence. The woman looked toward his worn boots, his faded shirt, his tired eyes. She could clearly see life hadn't been easy lately. Finally she spoke. "My name is Claire Montgomery." Ethan nearly choked. Everyone in Texas knew that name. Claire Montgomery owned one of the largest privately operated ranches in the state. People called her the Iron Lady of Texas agriculture. A businesswoman worth millions, respected, feared, admired, and somehow standing directly in front of him. "Ethan Walker," he replied. Claire nodded. "What makes you think I need another ranch hand?" The question caught him off guard, because he didn't have a perfect answer, only the truth. "I don't know if you do." Claire crossed her arms. "Then why are you here?" Ethan looked directly into her eyes. "Because I need a chance." Honesty surprised her. He could see it. Most people probably showed up with rehearsed speeches, fancy promises, exaggerated resumes. Ethan had none of that, only honesty. For a brief moment, Claire's expression softened. Then it disappeared. What if I say no? Ethan shrugged. Keep walking. Something about that answer made her pause because he wasn't begging, he wasn't trying to manipulate her, he simply accepted reality. Claire glanced toward the horizon, then back at him. Come with me. Ethan blinked. What? You wanted work? Then stop standing there. She turned and walked away. Ethan quickly followed. The next several hours were brutal. Claire personally tested him, not with questions, with work, real work. They repaired damaged fencing, moved feed sacks, loaded equipment, checked irrigation systems under the relentless Texas heat. Ethan worked without complaint. His muscles screamed, his hands blistered, but he never quit, never slowed down, never asked for special treatment. As the sun began setting, Claire watched him from across the barn. Something about him felt different. Most men who came looking for work spent half the day talking. Ethan spent all day working. Most men tried impressing her. Ethan simply focused on the job. Most men knew who she was. Many even flirted. Ethan hadn't made a single inappropriate comment, not one. And that was rare, very rare. Later that evening, Claire sat alone on the farmhouse porch. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold. Her thoughts drifted, not toward business, not toward ranch operations, toward Ethan, which annoyed her. She didn't have time for distractions, especially not men. The last man she'd trusted had nearly destroyed everything. 3 years earlier, her fiancé had betrayed her. Not only emotionally, financially, he had attempted to gain control of ranch assets before disappearing with another woman. The scandal nearly ruined her reputation. Since then, Claire had built walls around her heart, walls nobody crossed, nobody. Yet somehow this stranger had made her curious, and curiosity was dangerous. Meanwhile, Ethan sat inside a small bunkhouse provided for temporary workers. The room wasn't fancy, just a bed, a chair, a dresser. But after months of uncertainty, it felt like luxury. For the first time in a very long time, he wasn't sleeping in his truck. He wasn't wondering where tomorrow's meal would come from. He wasn't alone on some highway. He had work, maybe, if Claire decided to keep him. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Ethan opened the door. A teenage girl stood outside, about 16 years old, long brown hair, bright eyes, mischievous smile. The new guy, Ethan laughed. Guess so. I'm Lily. Ethan, she grinned. Just so you know, nobody survives Claire's first day tests. What do you mean? Half the workers quit. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Lily nodded. She's impossible. Despite herself, she laughed, then leaned closer. But she kept you. Ethan shrugged. Maybe she needed help. Lily's smile widened. Maybe. Then she walked away, leaving Ethan confused. Across the ranch, Claire stood near her office window, looking toward the bunkhouses, toward the light glowing inside Ethan's room. For reasons she couldn't explain, she felt something unfamiliar, hope. It scared her because hope had hurt before. And she wasn't willing to risk that pain again, not for anyone, not even a man who had walked 5 miles through the Texas heat looking for honest work. But fate had already set events into motion. Neither Claire nor Ethan knew it yet. The challenges ahead would test them both. Secrets would emerge, enemies would appear, hearts would be broken, lives would change. And one whispered sentence would eventually alter everything. A sentence Ethan could never have imagined hearing. The same woman who now treated him like an employee would one day look into his eyes and quietly say, "I don't need a cowboy." Then pause, before finishing the sentence that would change both their lives forever. "Need a husband."